Guys, it is Lanikia, and I am coming to you with another edition of What Happened on the Soaps. This is General Hospital for the date of Wednesday, April the 13th, 2022. This was a solid episode. I'm going to give it an 8. It was a lot of moving parts on this episode. So let me try to pull it all together. So first we're going to start out at, okay, let's just go with Spenser and Trina. So Spenser goes to see Trina, right? And some of y'all are saying that she looks older. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Some of y'all saying she looks older. I don't think that. I think she's a pretty young lady. She looks her age to me. But so Spenser and Trina are talking, and she's like, "What are you doing here? What are you like? Ava's not here." And he's like, "Okay, I came to see Ava." And she was like, "She's not here, so you can go." And Spenser doesn't leave, and she's like, "What are you still doing here?" And he was like, "You." And she was like, "What do you mean, me?" And he says, "I came to check up on you. I came to check up to see how you were doing." And she was like, "I'm being accused of something that I didn't do. I could possibly go to prison, and I'm innocent. So how do you think I'm doing?" He was like, "Look, I just wanted to check up on my friend and everything." She was like, "How can you do that? Like, how can on one hand can you look at me and say I'm your friend, but on another hand think that I'm capable of doing what you say I'm capable of doing with Esme? I mean, of doing to Joss and Cam, and take Esme's side. I can't even believe it." And he was just like, he didn't want to fight with her and all this. And she was like, "Well, you shouldn't have came here if you didn't want to argue, because you're not going to tell me that you don't trust me and I'm guilty of something and question me knowing that Esme really did this. Like, you can't possibly believe Esme did this." And she tells him, "Oh, and congratulations on Esme not being pregnant. I see you dodged another one with that." And he's just like, "Trina, like, please, I'm sorry, he's just like, "I'm sorry you feel that way, but I don't want to believe that you're guilty and everything." And she was like, "Well, don't believe I'm guilty." And then she says, "Why are you here? I don't understand it. Like, why? What are you doing here? What do you want?" And so they go to commercial and they come back, and then he's telling her, and it shows him telling her, like, I want you. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this because I know you're innocent and Esme set you up." And then he tells her, she was like, "What? So you're doing this for me? What? You're being with Esme for me?" And he said, "Yes, I had to move her in the house to pretend it was to protect her from Uncle Sonny, because I have to watch her." He said, "I know she set you up, but I gotta watch her to see that, when she makes her move or drops her mask and everything." And so she says, "Well, why are you doing this for me?" Trina tells Spenser, "Why are you doing this for me?" Because he says, "Because I'm in love with you." Baby, then they brought us back to reality. He didn't say any of that, but that's how he feels. And I'm glad to know. So he just tells her, "You can't keep blaming Esme for everything." And she pushed him. She said, "Get on out of here, Spenser. I don't want to hear that." But he was like, "You can't keep blaming Esme for everything that goes wrong in your life. Like, sir, she is to blame for this." But she tells him to leave, and then she's upset, and then he walks out and he's upset. And it's just like, communication, people. That's what it takes. Communication. Communication. But let's move on from there. So then we see Ava. So I'm gonna walk through Ava. So Ava's at Metro Court, and she tells Scott, who's sitting there with Liesel, how you pronounce her name? Liesel, and Britt and Nina. So they're sitting there, and Nina and Britt are just like, ugh, because Scott and Liesel are all over each other, and they're like, "We don't want to see this." And Nina comes up, and Ava comes up, and she's like, "Scott, I need you to talk to you immediately." And and Lisa said, "We're having a family." He's off the car. He said, No, it's okay. We'll go talk to her. So he goes over and talks to Ava, and he said, what's up, Ava?" And she says, "Listen, I need you to petition the court and make Spenser do his community service and everything, like, somewhere else. Go make him pick up trash or something." And he was like, "Ma'am, I just can't petition the court and do that. And actually, the court would probably be upset with that." He was like, "So he has no direct ties to the case. So as long as Trina and I said anything, There's nothing we can do. And she's like, oh, go back, Scott. And so then she goes over to Dante because he's there at Metro Court with Sam too. And she tells him, Dante, I need to speak to you. And he was like, because Dante has been through it. And he already feels bad because he knows Trina is innocent, and all the evidence is pointing towards her. And he was like, "How do we get the evidence off her?" And everybody's been in his ear, like, Trina is innocent. So he goes over to speak to Ava, and he was like, how can I help you? And she's like, you can help me by going after the person who is really guilty, which is Esme, and stop wasting taxpayers' dollars on Trina or whatever. And he was like, I'm not the lead detective, Ava, on this case. And he was like, and I want to help or whatever. And she was like, Ava pretty much was like, well, you want to help, then get Trina, then find the evidence for Esme or whatever. And then Ava leaves because she's sick of them all. And so once Ava leaves, she goes home. Now Nickolas has been at home with Esme because nobody's been there. So Esme come in and she playing the little victim. Y'all know I like Esme, but she started working my tap dance on my last nerve. But she playing the victim about, we both didn't have parents. You didn't have your mom and I didn't have mine. Sometimes I wonder what happened with my biological parents. They just threw me away like garbage. I mean, I'm not saying my adoptive parents didn't love me, but they died. And he was like, didn't you have siblings? Yes, but we weren't close. And he was like, so you weren't close to anyone? She said, well, my nanny Maggie. And he said, well, what happened to Maggie? Well, when I went to boarding school, we kind of lost touch. And he was like, so Spenser never met Maggie? And she said, no. And I said, now, Nickolas, come on now. Come on now. So then, she's doing her whole thing about you and Spenser, you're growing so close and yada, yada, trying to play Nickolas. But anyways, they get done talking. She go up to her room and we see she has letters from Maggie who told her, okay, I'm worried about you moving with Spenser to New York because I don't think it would do you any good to be around your dad or whatever. Somebody need to contact Maggie. So then Ava comes in, and Nickolas is downstairs, and he was like, "Oh, you're home." He didn't know if she was gonna come, and she said, "I told you I'm not letting Esme run me out of the house or whatever." And she says, "I'm about to go take, she about to go take a hot bath and get in the bed or whatever." And he says, "Ooh, sounds like a good idea," and tries to wrap his arm around her. I said, "No, sir, no, mm-mm. You are going to have," she said, I'm not leaving the master bedroom either. Go have one of the helpers fix up a spare bedroom for you because I'm not going." And he was like, "Hey, but are you serious?" Because she was like, well, he told her that, because she was like, well, what have Esme been talking about and everything? And he told her, I'm just playing Esme. I don't believe this whole act, but I got to get information off of her because we got to know who she really is or whatever. And she was like, well, I'm glad you're not that naive and everything. I'm paraphrasing, y'all. Stay with me. And so she says, I'm glad you're not that naive and everything. But she says, but I still don't forgive you because honestly, Nickolas, you could have just told Ava what your plans was in the first place, because that's what married couples do. And so Ava's like, but I still don't forgive you or whatever. So yeah, you're not sleeping with me. And he said, now Ava, what about our vow renewal? She said, there is no vow renewal. Oh no, he said, well, what about after the vow renewal? We still can't share the same bed? And she said, no, we cannot. There's not going to be a vow renewal as long as Esme is around. She said, because if you make vows to me now, I don't even know if I believe them. And he was like, Ava. And she walked on off, and that was Nickolas and Ava today. Ma'am, can I make this video without your little head? Okay, so that was Ava and Nickolas today. Okay, so then we go to okay, so going back to Scott. So Nina just gets up and leaves because she said, I gotta go. And because really there was nothing really going on with these. They had Scott, Lizel, and Britt and Nina on there, but it wasn't really nothing going on with the four of them at this table. Except that Britt says no, she hasn't really did anything with the matchmaking thing, and Scott and Lizel were Lizel. I don't know how to pronounce that woman name, but they were all over each other, and Britt was like, ugh. So she started to look at her matches, and she does see someone that she matches with. And Scott was just like, I know, he tells Liza, these are important people that pay a lot. So sometimes I gotta get caught away. And she was like, your ambition, and oh, it turns me on or whatever. And so then she calls Dante over at the table, and she tells him, I want to file charges on your dad, Sonny Corinthos, for her, for harassing Scott. And he said, what? And Scott said, well, not officially. We don't want to file charges. But off the record, I want to tell you that since Sonny has broken up with Carly, you need to watch him or whatever. And Dante just like, go on. Now, while all this is going on, let me just wrap them up. And so then Scott has to leave, and Britt is just like, oh, I found some possible matches and Liza is just like, let me see who you found. And whoever she found in there, she runs off because Britt had already left, walked on forward, and she runs off after her. And that's how they wrapped them up, y'all. It wasn't that important. So then we see Sam and Dante. So he had already, I told y'all he had already talked to her about, everything going on with the case and how he honestly believes Trina's innocent, but they got to prove it. But he's not going into a lot of details. And she says, does it have something to do with Rory's file that he's supposed to send over? And he was like, So while Dante has been called away, but Ava and Liesel and Scott, he gets a notification and it's Rory's file. And I says, ma'am, don't do this. Don't do this, Sam. But she does it. She goes in and I said, Sam, what kind of spy are you? Horrible. Because as she's reading the filing of evidence and everything, Dante walks up on her and he's like, what are you doing? Next episode. So then we go to is it Charlie's? Then we go to Charlie's. So Sasha and Brendo are there. Now I missed the first few minutes of this because they were doing that on the whole thing in New York. Glad he got captured and everything. So the first 2-3 minutes of this we missed, but from what I can gather, they talk to Sasha and Brendo about Liam and everything, and Sonny just tells her welcome to the family, and he would help him with a house or whatever, but she just went live and he bought some shares himself, and her business is doing well, so she don't need him. Excuse me. So she doesn't need him, and so he and Phyllis go on and they start talking, and this leaves Brandon and Sasha to talk. Now Brandon and Sasha are talking, right, and she's saying, hey, she's saying people bringing up Liam doesn't bother her because she thinks about him every single day. And she said, but did you invite Sonny to the reception? And he said, no, I thought you were taking care of that. And she said, oh my gosh. And I'm like, boy, can't you see this girl is like, you playing, but this girl is real stressed out. Like, how are you missing all these signs? But he missing them and everything. And he was like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'm going to ask him. He said, no, I'm not going to ask him now because he seemed to be in deep conversation with Phyllis. Now, so later on they get to talking, and she says, did you just marry me because did you just marry me because you felt like pressure to marry me because I wanted to, or why did you marry me? She's worried about that, and he tells her, I married you for us, I love you, it was going to happen eventually. And the reason she's doing this because he said he didn't see them living together, because she said, let's not get a house, let's just get a condo. And he was like, but he tries to explain to her, I was just really trying to say that money was always a factor in it, and now that she got money like that, it's not a factor anymore, and they can pretty much live wherever they want to live, and he's not used to that. That's all it was. And they make up, even if it wasn't really a fight. But anyways, they leave, right? So that leaves Phyllis and Nina over there with Phyllis and Sonny. And so Phyllis and Sonny are talking, and he tells her, he wants to do, she took care of him. She took him in when she didn't have to. So in repayment to start, he wants to give her Charlie's. And she said, Sonny, I can't afford it. He said, I'll make you a reasonable offer. You can have it for $100. And she's like, Sonny, no, that's not reasonable. That's too little. Charlie's is a money maker or whatever. I guess Charlie's does really well. And so she says, no, but it seemed like it does because they beat her a lot. And she says, no, I can't do that. And he says, you'll be taking it off my hands. And, he was like, I can never repay you for what you did for me. And so she's like, no, I can't do it, Sonny. I can't. And then Nina comes in and she says, Nina, like, help me with this man. But before Nina goes and speaks to them, while Sasha and Brenda was still there, she does congratulate them on, their marriage, and she congratulates Sasha on the launch of her, the business with the IPO and everything, and tells her speech was wonderful. And she says, "Oh no, it wasn't." And Brenda reassures her, "Yes, it was." I mean, Nina tells her, "Yes, it was," and Brenda reassures her. And so then she goes, and so Nina goes over there with Sonny and him, and that's when Phyllis is like, "Convince him not that I can't buy this." And Nina was like, "I think it's a wonderful idea. Yeah, you should buy it and everything." And so they finally talked Phyllis into it, and she's like, "Okay." And she says, "I gotta go and drop this money." And they said, Sonny said, "Where's Raffy?" I think they call him Raffy. And she said, "Oh, he had to leave early because of the emergency. So I'm just going to walk over there." And he said, "Oh, no, no, no. You're not going to walk over there by yourself. Frank," because that's his bodyguard. He said, "Frank, take her to drop this money and make sure she gets there safe." And he was like, "Okay, boss." And so she leaves. And so it's just Nina and Sonny. I know y'all don't like Nina and Sonny, but I do. Okay, so it's just Nina and Sonny, and they do their whole little flirting thing and everything. And she says, "Why, do you mind if I stay a little longer?" Because she really did come there to speak to Phyllis. And they were like, he was like, "No, go ahead." And she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna lock up." When Nina goes to lock up, and two gunmen come in and tell, pointing guns, telling them, "Raise your hand, don't make any sudden moves." I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly what they said, but I know two gunmen came in pointing guns, and they were like, "Don't move. This is a stick up," is what they pretty much told them or whatever. So that's how General Hospital went off today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I will see you tomorrow with a new edition of General Hospital. What happened on the soaps General Hospital? Bye.